The call to worship is a summons to ascend God's heavenly mountain. The covenant of works spells out the stipulations upon which Adam would attain that end. The benediction then is the bestowal of the covenant blessing by the successful probationer. Now, this I think is the whole key to understanding the significance of the benediction. What is a benediction? It's not a prayer, for one thing. And I don't know why some people get so confused on that. A benediction is not simply a prayer. A benediction is a bestowal of a covenant blessing. And more specifically, it is the bestowal of the covenant blessing by the successful probationer. Now, here's what I mean by that. Had Adam obeyed God by offering personal, perfect, exact, entire obedience, he would have received for himself and for all his posterity the covenant blessing, the blessing of the covenant of works. The covenant blessing would have been given to Adam and to those whom he represented in the covenant of works on the basis of Adam's obedience. So that would have been the juridical ground on which he would have received it, and it would have been mediated to his posterity. So as mediator of the covenant, the obedient federal head, that is the successful probationer, receives and bestows the blessings of the covenant. Now, after the fall, in Genesis chapter 3, Adam and Eve sin against God. They transgress the covenant, and they eat the forbidden fruit. They become liable to the curse sanction of the covenant. God does not cast them into hell, but rather he reveals to them his plan of redemption. And that plan of redemption is first revealed in Genesis 3:15, the mother promise, which promises a new Adam. And this new Adam, the offspring of the woman who crushes the head of the serpent and brings redemption, he's the one who is going to fulfill the stipulations of the covenant of works and also bear the curse sanction. His heel will be bruised on behalf of those he represents in order to redeem them from the curse, right? Because Adam represented us, we come under the curse of the covenant of works. The new Adam will bear that curse on our behalf to redeem us from that curse. And he fulfills also the positive stipulations of the covenant of works too, to receive on the basis of his obedience the blessing sanction, which he then mediates to those whom he represents. So on the basis of his perfect obedience, he will receive and bestow the blessings of the covenant. Now, that initial promise in Genesis 3:15 is unfolded progressively, historically, in Revelation, the history of special revelation throughout the Old Covenant, until it reaches its climax with the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and is fulfilled in the person and work of Jesus Christ, who is the offspring of the woman. And Luke, the Gospel of Luke, all the Gospels do, but I want to point out Luke in particular. Luke's Gospel in particular portrays Christ as the new Adam. That, I think, is one of the points that's made in Luke's genealogy of Jesus in chapter 3, which traces his lineage all the way back to Adam, who is the Son of God, right? The last verse of Luke chapter 3. Jesus is the new Adam who is placed on probation under a covenant of works like the first Adam, and makes successful probation, right? That's the point of Luke 4. Christ faces a probationary test in Luke 4, which probationary test brings him into conflict with the serpent. He overcomes the serpent. He does what Adam failed to do in Genesis chapter 3. Unlike Adam the first, the new Adam lives by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Right? So he makes successful probation. And that's the first, that's a probationary test. It's not the climactic probationary test. That comes on the cross, where he crushes the head of the serpent. Now, as the true high priest, Christ mediates on the basis of his personal, perfect, exact, and entire obedience to God, the blessings of the covenant. And I think that is underscored in many ways in the Gospel of Luke. But the place I want to highlight here, because this is directly connected to the benediction, which is what we're talking about, is Luke chapter 24, verses 50 through 51. And Camden, would you read that if you
you bet. Then he led them out as far as Bethany, and lifting up his hands, he blessed them. And while he blessed them, he parted from them and was carried up into heaven.
There it is. I mean, this the successful probationer, right? Ascends into heaven. He
Yeah.
ascends into the heavenly home of God, right? He ascends Harmageddon, the invisible mountain of God, to its summit, and is seated at the right hand of the Father, enthroned in Sabbath rest. He receives the blessing sanction on the basis of his perfect obedience. But what else does he do?
Yeah.
He lifts up his hands and blesses them, and blesses his disciples.